I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast today is Dimitrios Konstantopoulos, who is very well known for his wonderful career in football. He was a goalkeeper and he's currently the goalkeeping coach for Hartlepool United. Are going quite well at the moment, Dimi. You must be very pleased.
Yes, we are for a newly promoted side, and with the squad we've got, obviously not the biggest budget, and despite all that, we're doing really well. We're in the top 7, and we're looking to push from there. But it's going to be a long, hard season. But so far, so good.
Yeah, and you live up there, do you? You live near Hartlepool?
Yes, I live here. My wife is from Hartlepool, and my family's here. So yeah, I'm quite settled in the area for quite a few years.
Okay, so when you set out in your career, Dimi, did you ever think that you'd be playing for Hartlepool United or Middlesbrough or even in the UK? What was your kind of game plan before it all started?
No, since I was young, because I was very intrigued with the English football, and I was a Man United fan. Watching Peter Schmeichel was my idol, and as I was growing up, I always had this urge to, if I could, try myself in England. This opportunity came through Hartlepool United. I didn't know much about them then. I just wanted to be, in English football, and I got this opportunity, and it worked quite well.
Yeah, I mean the Premier League is on another level now. But was English football popular when you were a kid growing up? Would have been the Premier League, wouldn't it? Was it popular when you were a boy?
Yeah, of course. Especially, obviously now it's even more popular with all the coverage and the TV channels and the games that are being shown on the TV. But back then, obviously the big teams, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal were the biggest names and playing in Europe, and they had quite a bit of following as well in Greece, as they do in all over the world. So yeah, my dad was a big fan of George Best and a fan of Man United, and I started watching them, and I became a fan of Peter Schmeichel, and it carried on.
Yeah. I was quite fortunate to meet George Best very briefly at some corporate thing that I was part of years ago. But let's just go back a bit further, Dimi. So you grew up in Greece. What was your childhood like? Was it does it bring back fond memories for you?
Yeah, it was fantastic. My family, we settled in Thessaloniki. I was born there, and it was very easygoing childhood, loads of fun. Both my parents were very supportive through my football start, and my dad would follow me everywhere, and I never had any problems in that respect. They told me as long as you like what you're doing, just keep doing it. And and as we say, when we're older, wish I could go back to those years sometimes,
Yeah. Did you always want to be a goalkeeper, or was there any possibility that you'd be an outfield player, or was playing in the net's always your intention?
Since I was very, very little, I like to have the ball in my hands. My mum noticed that first. She actually wrote in a book saying that he might become a goalkeeper, and she's still bragging about it now. And, but as you're growing up, you're experimenting. You play different positions at school. But I always had a knack for being in goal and diving around. I think it's a special sort of mindset to be a goalkeeper. It's a completely different position from all the rest. So you have to have that different mentality. And I used to enjoy it then. I enjoy it even today.
Yeah. Was there ever a backup plan, Dimi, that if it didn't work out, were the designs on you being a doctor or, gone into some other profession?
Yeah, my parents are both, been to university. My dad is a PhD in economics. My mom was a teacher. They wanted me to carry on with my studies, but then from early age, from 16, I got involved seriously with the national teams, under 14s in Greece, under 17s, under 23s. So that became a full-time thing for me because it occupies a lot of your time. But since I remember myself, which is a bit naive thinking about it now, I never thought that I wouldn't become, that this wouldn't be my job, which it's not easy to do. But at the time, maybe lack of sense of danger or fear or whatever you can call it. I always thought that's what I like to do. That's what I'll be doing when I grow up. And I was lucky, to succeed doing that.
Yeah. And Dimi, can I ask, was growing up, was your family a religious family? Was church part of your young life or not?
Yes, in Greece, we're Christian Orthodox. We used to go to church. We go to church pretty much throughout the year, and Easter, Christmas, and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, my mom is a bit more religious. So yeah, we both, me and my sister, we were bred into the Christian Orthodox religion.
Yeah. And has the family ever taken in the Greek Orthodox Church in the UK? I mean, I'm aware that it's not everywhere, but it's usually in the big cities. Is that something you've come across?
Yeah, there is one in Middlesbrough. I think obviously in Leeds as well, which I've been a couple of times. Yeah, I don't think there's massive differences between, we're all Christians, I think, at the end of the day. So for me, it's a matter of obviously what you personally believe in. If you feel a connection, it's down to the individual.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go back to the footy, and you tell us about getting your first pro deal, Dimi. What was that like? What can you remember that occasion?
Yeah, that was my first. I was 17. It was a League One club in Greece, and I just moved there, and it was a professional deal. And obviously, I still remember my mum and dad were there when I was signing. It was good. It was a different feeling. Although when you're young, all you care about is being on the pitch and just playing football. But I knew then that things were becoming serious, and this could be my job for the foreseeable future in my career. So yeah, I just had to carry on being dedicated and focused on improving. And I was lucky enough to work with great coaches and managers, especially my first manager in that League One football. He's taught me a lot. And
what did he teach you, Dimi? What did you pick up from him? What made him so special?
Because I went there as a raw material, basically, like a tall boy with good handling ability. But all the technical aspects used to pick me up from my house 2 hours before every training session. I'd work with him alone, and then I'd work with the team as well. So that was nearly every day. And it taught me a lot of my technique, and which was advanced for that time, using the feet and all that, which I carried through my career.
Yeah. And when you got your pro deal, did you have to move away from home at that point, or were you still at home? Or
no, it was a club, a local club in Thessaloniki, but I only managed to play for 6 months there because I signed in the summer, and in January I got sold. I got a transfer to the Premier League in Greece, which was Kalamata, which was my dad's birthplace, and it was quite convenient because he had relatives there. So it worked all right in that respect.
Yeah, I asked you that because I've interviewed quite a few footballers, and they all seem to be quite home birds. Actually, they're quite, they don't like being too far away from the parents. So when you actually get the move away, it's been a bit of a struggle for some of them, and some of them have moved back. But then you headed out to Portugal. Is that right, Dimi? You went to Portugal after that?
Yeah, I think I'm 20 years old or 21. I can't remember. Yes, I wanted to try to play abroad, and obviously my first choice was England, but there was no options at the time. So the only option I had was Portugal. So I went out there. I had a trial, and I signed for Farense, but it turned out not very good because the club was in deep financial troubles. There was problems paying players for a long time, and I had to leave after nearly a year. Then obviously the Hartlepool United option came up, and I just took it.
At that point, Timmy, were you quite concerned about? Did you have concerns about your career? Thinking, well, because you had quite a few clubs as a young guy, didn't you? Before you kind of settled at Borough, but were you kind of thinking, oh God, I'm on the move again here? It's like, when am I going to find somewhere I can call home? Were you anxious about your game at that point?
No, as I said, I just wanted to play. I didn't care where would that be. I just wanted to be somewhere that I'd be happy with my football and enjoy my football. Other than that, I wasn't really bothered about the external parts or how far I'll be from home. I guess it's on the individual, what your character, and some people get homesick or they need to be closer, and that's choices that you make. But for me, it was a case of enjoying football wherever that may be.
So how did that move come about to Hartlepool then? It must have been, well, it's a bit random, isn't it? To be fair. So just tell us a bit. Give us an insight into what happened there.
It's a strange one because at the time I was in Spain. I was trialing for a second division championship club in Spain. It was a late summer. It was doing really well, and the whole thing was looking really good. And they wanted me to sign a deal. But the night before I was going to sign the deal, in the morning, I got a call from this agent telling me that there's this club in England called Hartlepool United. They want to have a look at me. And I decided to get up and leave early in the morning, go catch the train to Malaga without notifying anyone in the Spanish club. They were looking for me the next day. And I was on the flight to Hartlepool, and I landed in the northeast seaside. And yeah, since then the journey started.
You're laughing because I know it's a bit different to Portugal, isn't it? The temperature, if nothing else, the temperature. But so you land at Hartlepool United, and what, do you go and have a look around the ground and the training facilities?
No, they took me straight to the hotel, and they told me someone was going to pick me up for training the next day. It was a bit different because I was in Spain in a good club, in a 5-star hotel with everything sorted, ready to sign. And I landed here, and I was put in a small bed and breakfast hotel, and it was a bit strange, but it didn't bother me because I was there. I was in England, and I was getting my chance to prove myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a few weeks trial in Hartlepool, then I signed my first short-term deal, and then after that, it just became permanent.
Did you settle quite quickly when it became permanent? Or was it a struggle settling in the northeast?
No, not at all. I was lucky to be in a era of the club that the togetherness of the squad was really strong. The lads were all brilliant. I felt settled straight away. I was welcomed in the squad. It sort of, the adjustment period was a lot shorter for me. And after that, obviously, after the first period that you need to adjust, I was fine. I wasn't bothered at all. It was like I was being at home.
Mm. And was it Neil Cooper, the gaffer, that brought you to Hartlepool? Is that right?
Yeah, Neil Cooper, when I first met, I could speak English, but I couldn't speak Scottish. So when he started speaking to me, I couldn't understand anything he was saying, and I thought something's wrong with my English. But slowly, I adjusted.
And do you think your game developed coming to Hartlepool? Do you think you became a better goalkeeper? That you were playing regular then, weren't you? You played nearly 140 odd games, I think, for Hartlepool. Did you feel your game was coming on all the time?
Yes, it was after the adjustment period. Because the game, comparing to the rest of Europe, is faster, is stronger, is more challenges. So after I realized that this is what I had to be more careful about. It was easy, not easy, but it was normal for me, and I kept working hard to improve what I had to improve. again, I had some good coaches who I took stuff from and benefited from. It was a normal progression.
So as the seasons were rolling on, were you kind of thinking, well, maybe it's time for me to see what else is out there and see if I can ply my trade at a higher level, or were people scouting you by that point, and your name was, kind of on the radar of a number of clubs?
Yeah, through my seasons at Hartlepool, there was quite a bit of interest from clubs higher up, but Hartlepool were not they didn't want to negotiate with anyone about selling me, so it was always a no. Then I never had a problem with that. I thought, I keep doing what I'm doing, and if something comes, will come. But then I was coming to the end of my contract with Hartlepool, and there was a lot of interest from championship clubs. One of them was Coventry, and I weighed my options, and I thought that was a chance. If I wanted to play higher, it was time for me to try to play higher. So yeah, I took this opportunity to sign for Coventry.
And how did in hindsight, was that the right thing to do? Do you take that? Did you take that as another learning curve, or were there any regrets about leaving Hartlepool?
No regrets, because you don't know how it would have gone if I had signed for someone else. So yeah, I chose Coventry. The project was good. The manager, I spoke to him a few times. Ian Dowie, the goalkeeping coach. What his name? Legend, played for Blackburn. That was my choice. Obviously, I didn't play as much as I wanted. I would have liked to play. That was through injury most of the time, because I had a bad injury, my Achilles, and I had to stay out for about 8 months. And after that, it's hard to get back in the team. But I still got my games, and I went on loan to Cardiff and to Swansea. I played some games there, and overall, he added to my experience and to my constant need of improvement. I'm
intrigued to know who the goalie coach was now. I'm trying, because Blackburn's just. Sorry?
Tim Flowers.
Tim Flowers, yeah. I was trying to think. I was thinking Terry Geno, but that was before. Yeah, Tim Flowers, yeah. Was Steve Grizovic still around at Coventry in those days?
Yes, after Tim, obviously, Yandawi and Tim left, Steve became the first team goalkeeping coach, and was with him for a year and a half. Very good coach and very good man.
And with Tim Flowers, now you mentioned it, it was an outstanding goalkeeper. What did he actually teach you, Dimmy? What was the difference? I often wonder what is the difference between the guys who play at the really top level, and those who play in the low leagues, and those who don't quite make it as pros.
I think obviously to become a top level as a player, you need to have that something extra. And that you can carry it on being a coach, your knowledge for the game and the technical aspects. Don't get me wrong, there's many coaches who became top coaches and not have played in the top level. But I think it definitely helps to have played against better players, with better players. That gives you different ideas, different ways to approach the position. So yeah, I think Tim had a great experience as a player, and he had a great personality as well, and he could bring that to the training. And I think it's important as well to have this, being able to manage the mentality of a goalkeeper in every position. But goalkeeping, I think it's even more relying on the mentality, because it's about confidence.
Yeah. And then after these moves that you'd had, you headed back to Greece. When you kind of went back to Greece, did you think that was you saying goodbye to England? Do you think your time was done in England, and Greece was your future?
No, not really. It was another step, and there was another option that I had. And because the club that I signed was newly promoted in the Premier League in Greece, and the chief executive there had experience from English football as well. So I saw it as a challenge. And it actually worked quite well for me because I had a great season and I got selected for the national team. I got my caps, and after that I got to move to a big club in Greece, AEK Athens. So yeah, it wasn't closing the door to England, because I'll always have that link because my wife's from England, and I've played many years in English football. But it was just a new challenge, and I thought I'd give it a go. And I'm grateful that I took it, because it broadened my experience and my view in football in general.
I'm interested to know about Greek football, Dimi, because there's quite a lot of big clubs in Greece, aren't they? And AEK Athens is certainly one of them. What was it like playing for a club of that stature and with that kind of? I'm right in saying the fans are quite fanatical out there, aren't they?
Yes, no, it is more pressure, because you're required to be top of your game in every game. The expectations are higher. The first season that I was there, it was spot on, because we had a good team, we had good players, and we could meet those expectations. We played in Europa League games, and really well. I was lucky to play with big names, Eddie Johnson, a lot of players who played in the national team in Greece and played abroad as well, Dallas and others. And second season, everyone left because of the problems they had financially. I stayed, thinking that I don't want to abandon ship, and I wanted to help. And we had to rely on many young lads who couldn't take the pressure, and it wasn't very, very good season.
And just tell us about the fan base there.
It's brilliant. It's a big club, and it's got fantastic following. They can, when the team's playing well, they can fill a stadium of 80,000, no problem.
Yeah.
They're very passionate, but they're also very demanding, as any big club. So yeah, they will follow the team. But then you, as a footballer, you have to be able to absorb that pressure and make it into performances, and not many players can do that.
Yeah, and just a bit quickly on the history, Dimi, about Athens. I've got family connections to Greece, and were you aware of those kind of Constantinople connections with the club? Is it something that's kind of pumped into you when you arrive, or were you already aware of the club's stature?
No, of course I was aware. You're aware since when you're a kid about the roots of the big clubs. It's also PAOK. We have the same roots in my hometown, Salonika, from Constantinople. Yeah, of course I knew that, and there's a special feeling to this club because of this, because of the those years that people had to migrate back to Greece and all that. There's a very strong link and connection amongst the fans.
And I don't want to get too political on this, but it's just out of interest to me that what's the feeling from people in Greece towards what is now regarded as Istanbul? What would you say relations are like? Is there kind of a bitterness that's in the country towards what happened there all those years ago, or just give us an insight, if you would?
There'll always be a little bit, because obviously throughout the history, those two nations had conflicts. But I don't think people are they're certainly not fanatical about it. As long as we'll keep out of each other's business, really, it's not a problem. And I think that's the same for the Turkish people. But there's always this, obviously, you learn through history, in history books and in school, that these lands were ours, and the way we lost them and all that stuff. But I don't think there's a problem between the nations.
Yeah, and just for anybody who's watching this, just to make you aware that AEK Athens was kind of like known as the refugee club of people coming from Constantinople. That's correct, Dimi, isn't it? Just correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That was kind of the general understanding. And I asked the question because my great grandfather was from Constantinople. So let's get back to the footy, Dimmy. So you play 40 odd games out in Athens, and you come back to Borough, where you I suppose you had some longevity there, and you stayed there for a while. Were they great times? Were a fantastic club?
Yeah, yeah. I had finished from AEK Athens my contract, and I was back here in England, and the goalkeeping coach back there, Stephen Pierce, knew me. They needed a goalkeeper because of an injury. I was supposed to be going there as a short-term deal cover, but I worked my way, and I always had confidence that, given the chance, I can prove myself. And it happened, and I ended up staying six seasons, which were very, very enjoyable. Managed to, get in the Premier League and break all defensive records of the club's history. I was lucky to be in a great squad of players, and it was really, really good times.
What was the highlight for your time at Borough?
Of course, if you have to pick one, it's the last game of the championship season against Brighton, where the anticipation and the feeling before the game the pressure was immense, because it was like a final, and obviously getting the promotion and getting the result we wanted in the end, and obviously the final whistle coming with the ball in my hands after the last kick of the game. It's something that you'll always remember.
And why do you think Borough have not been able to get back, Dimmy? Because from outside looking in down here in Burnley as a Burnley fan, it's not like it's Steve Gibson, isn't it? Is it still Steve Gibson, the guy?
Yeah.
He certainly threw some money at it, didn't he? What do you just think it was? There's a particular reason why you think they've not got back since those days?
I think for a club to be successful, especially in being able to, get promoted from the championship, which I think is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, league in the world. It's a lot of things that they have to fall into place. If a couple is not there, or one or two are not there, it's hard. It's not just the money you have to put in; it's to do the right recruitment, and from manager to players. The atmosphere has to be there, the connection with the fans, which it's always been spot on at Middlesbrough. But I think we got close after we got relegated back to the championship the next couple of seasons through playoffs especially. But after that you need a period to regroup, I think, and that's what Borough are doing now.
Yeah, and you went some years. How old were you, Dimmy, when you finally retired? You're not that long retired, are you?
No, I was 41 when I retired last year.
Was that tough to finally give it up?
Yeah, it is a little bit, but when you see it coming and you preparing yourself for it, and you sort of know that you're going to stay in football in a different capacity, it sort of makes it easier. But it is a strange difference in your everyday routine. Obviously, used 20 odd years to doing the same thing, to go to training and being looked after in a different way. It makes it a bit different, and but again, you adjust. You adjust those things in your life.
Yeah, and now you're under the kind of stewardship of Dave Challoner, who I'm in Lancashire, and he was the gaffer at AFC Fylde, and I think there was a bit of shock when he lost his job there, because he was doing a really fantastic job. Are you enjoy working with Dave?
Yeah, of course. I think our coaching staff is plays major part in our position right now in the league, because as I said, we didn't have the biggest budget. We couldn't throw money at this league, so you rely on the squad you've got and the coaching staff to do a good job. And obviously, Dave is very He's a perfectionist. He wants things to be done properly, and that mentality transmits to the players, and that's what we're trying to do. And so far, we're doing it all right.
Yeah. So how many goalkeepers do you look after then, Dimi? How far down the? Yeah.
I've got 3 in the first team, and then I do the academy, the under-19s, a couple of times a week. So about 6.
And do you feel you've got some good potential there to work with as well?
Yes, definitely. Our first team keepers are really, really great keepers. Both of them, both the senior ones, because we have our number 3 is Patrick. Is a young lad who signed this year. Has a great potential in him. But the 2, Ben Killip and Johnny Mitchell, unbelievable pros. They both want to work and improve. Training is very enjoyable, and there's competition between them, which makes them become better.
Yeah, and just looking at the Prem, I mean, we've got Nick Pope, who I'm sure you rate quite highly. But have you got a couple of goalies in the Premier League that you think are head and shoulders above the rest?
Obviously, yeah, Nick is one of the top English goalkeepers at the minute, and he's proved that, and it didn't come, it wasn't handed to him. He had to buy his time. He had to get in and take the opportunity when he started playing. And he did that really, really well, and he developed into an all-around top goalkeeper. But I think at the minute I would pick as a top 2. I'd say Edison and Allison, because the all-around game, it's just not, on a goalkeeper, it's not just just saving balls and kicking it far. It's the whole management of the game and the calmness that they transmit. And these 2, I think, apart from the fact that they're really good shot stoppers, their all-around game as a kicking and passing and all that, it's spot on, and that's why they're the level they are.
Yeah. And just with your experience in the game, Dimi, just a comment on Burnley, because a lot of guys who watch this are Burnley fans. Have you been impressed with them, how they've managed to stay in the Premier League season after season? And obviously they've got a bit of a scrap on their hands this year, but you must be impressed with Sean Dyche and what he's done at Burnley.
Of course, I had some great battles against Burnley when I was playing for Middlesbrough. One of my best games for Middlesbrough was at Burnley. The season that Burnley went up, and we just spoiled the party 1-0 in Turf Moor. But look, there's a great recipe at Burnley, and Sean Dyche he knows what he wants to do, and he's good at getting players to do that for him, and it's worked really well. And it's not a surprise for me that they're in the Premier League for so many years, because it's very. I think it looks to me like it's a very stable environment, and that's where everything starts from, being stable, and everyone knows what they're working for, not over expecting or think they're safe or anything. It looks like every year they manage somehow to exceed the expectations, if I can put it that way. So I don't expect Burnley to get relegated this season.
Let's hope. Let's hope that's true. I really do. So, just finally, Demi, do you see yourself beyond the football goalkeeping coach? Do you have any designs on running a side yourself?
Yeah, I'd like to have a go. I'd like to be a manager one day. I think I've got enough experience, not just in the domestic game, but because I've worked abroad as well in different countries. So I have a broader view of football. But, goalkeeping is what I do naturally. I need to get experience in coaching in general. So starting from this, it's a great learning curve for me. So see how it goes.
Yeah, great. Dimi, it's been lovely talking to you. I really appreciate your time. I love chatting football. I could talk all day about football. So thanks ever so much for coming on the Godcast. I really wish all the best to Hartlepool United. They're a famous old club in the football pyramid, and be great to see them get up this year. So all the best, and listen, I love to you from down in Lancashire, and say to you, Dimmy, thanks for coming on the Godcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to be here. Bye.